All right, so after that, let's move to the next segment where we are going to give you a rundown on what's been happening on our local dailies here. And I have the Star newspaper as well as the People Daily. But let me start with the Star newspaper and what's on the front page. Uhuru wants Raila to climb Mount Kenya alone. That is what's on the splash of the Star newspaper. Uhuru wants Raila to climb Mount Kenya alone. President's handlers believe ODM leader best placed to weave and package his message before they jump in. It is said that fear of state project tagged holding Kenyatta back from leading campaigns, and that is what's on the front page here of the Star newspaper. And pictorials, perhaps you can just zoom in as well. Again, you can see that is the Deputy President William Ruto having a fist stamp there with the administration police officers who are deployed to guard his private residence and official residence in Karen, and some pictorials therein where the Deputy President said that he shared a cup of tea with the new security detail. That is the administration police officers who were deployed to guard his official residence in Karen, in Nairobi. So that is that. Families agonizing wait after loved ones' enforced disappearance. As the world marked International Day of Victims of Enforced Disappearances yesterday, Al Husni Mubarak's family wanted to have him back alive or dead. Husni was abducted on May 25th, 2018 after an afternoon prayer in Manyara. Since then, he's never been seen. Again, One Kenya Alliance, that is OKA, to launch in October and pick flag bearer for 2022 election. The One Kenya Alliance could unveil its presidential flag bearer in mid-October. The Star has established that the principals have directed the technical team drafting the coalition's documents to complete the exercise next month. That is what's expected as far as that is concerned. And still in politics, Uhuru moves to stop Speaker Muturi's rise. His moves are said to have act power brokers scheming succession. President Kenyatta, who has been engaging in talks with opposition leaders to fashion a formidable formula against DP William Ruto, last weekend held a closed-door meeting with Meru leaders to align them behind his plan. According to sources, the objective of the meeting was to craft a plan to rein in National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, who has announced his bid for presidency next year. The meeting, which was held in the State House, Nairobi, was attended by, among others, Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi, his Tharaka Nithi counterpart Muthomi Njuki, Meru Senator Mithika Linturi, Kenya Revenue Authority Chairman Ambassador Francis Mudhaura, Igembe North MP Mauka Maore, and officials of the powerful Njuri Ncheke Council of Elders. So that is what's happening right now. Others at the meeting were LAPSSET Transport Corridor Chairman Titus Ibui and Industrialization PS Peter Kaberia. All right. Before I give it to you, Jen, chiefs asked to identify people to be armed in locations. All right. So those identified will be required to attend county security committees for vetting before the chief's licensing firearms officer is required to provide them with a permit for the same. Now, this will reportedly, among others, ensure that the areas are protected from marauding criminals in their areas. But of course, there is that opposition from the IG's office saying that that will create a parallel police unit in the locations. The office of the IG is said to cite the law that states all firearms and police must be under his office, and does not understand why NGAO, that is National Gun Owners Association, is keen on the plan. So that is what's happening on the front page and the second page of the Star newspaper.
Let's now quickly have a look at the Daily Nation. Just two stories that have managed to be featured here. But we start with this particular story here on the header, looking at gambling and the pain and consequently death and tears that comes along with it. And here they have featured the story of one graduate who actually took his own life. And this was back on the 2nd of July 2016. A Bachelor of Commerce graduate who took his life after he lost an 80,000 bet. That is a bet that he had placed on a game between Italy and Germany during the night of the Euro Cup semi-finals between Italy and Germany. A game which he lost and consequently lost that money, and at the end of it all, he decided to commit suicide. That is a story that has been given prominence here. But coming to the main read, politicians take 2022 battle to the church. Now, there has been a ban on public gatherings, this also including rallies, and of course, in order to cap the spread of COVID-19. So what are our politicians doing now? Well, they are taking their campaigns to the church, and there has been a lot of unease and muted protests from some religious leaders as some top politicians turn the pulpit into a campaign platform, consequently blurring the line that separates the church from the state. But on the other hand, for some pastors, it is harvest time, as the heavyweights do not come empty-handed. Now, this story has been featured on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation, and it talks of how just this past weekend, ODM leader Raila Odinga, Deputy President William Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, ANC leader, as well as Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, all made appearances and comments in various churches across the country and the different places that they were. All of them made political pronouncements when they were given a chance to say hi to the congregation, but at the end of the day it did turn a bit political from all of the utterances that they made. And then again, this of course has been termed as the 2022 vote hunting mission that has been taken to churches. We have seen the Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop, that is Jackson Ole Sapit, say that it is a very worrisome trend that has already taken a firm grip, to say the least. And he went on to say that we must safeguard the pulpit for its sole purpose, and that is worship, and therefore refuse to hand over mics to politicians while inside the church. They should do their politics out there and not bring them to the churches. And just a while back, we did see the PCEA also come out to try and gag the politicians, but it did not really stand. And they say that the altar will not be used by politicians to advance their interests. And on the other hand, they also acknowledge that it is a sad thing that for some pastors, they have realized it is now time to harvest. We don't know what is being harvested and when it was planted, but for most of them, these politicians never come empty-handed. They always come with handouts and some form of compensation to give, and consequently, when they are given these opportunities to greet the congregation, they always turn and start politicking at the pulpit. And that is something that the church is trying to work around, to just make sure that politics are not, part of the agenda of what happens at church. And finally, the scramble for COVID-19 vaccine in counties. And according to a spot check that was done by this particular daily, they revealed that there are long queues at vaccination centers, with teachers, security officers, county workers, and health workers seeking to get vaccinated. And this is following the recent threat by government to withhold salaries for civil servants who will not have been vaccinated. And on the other hand, CS Kagwe ruled out the private importation of COVID-19 for the private sector who would want to import this, but still said that they will import this, but this has to be through the Ministry of Health via their representative, that is KEPSA. That is the front page of the Daily Nation for you this morning. Ray.
Well, the front page of the Standard doesn't have much. It seems repetitive of what the other scribes have captured on the front pages. The issue of panic as the president plans a big shake-up. There's talk of a looming reshuffle. Anxiety grips Uhuru's inner circle as it emerges that he's in the process of reorganizing government to accommodate opposition leaders, with some CSs, CASs and PSs on the chopping board as a president enters the home stretch. We're going to be giving details, but that's what we have on the front page. Actually, the big read on the front page of the Standard this morning. Other than that, just recapping that win by Chelagat there in the Tokyo Olympics games that are underway in Tokyo. Then also a big report, Big Tuesday, we talk matters finances, and now a report has been released, the Kenya's middle class meltdown. Remember, in not too long, we're also going to be putting matters of savings into perspective. Why are Kenyans still not saving? So remember, you can reach us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News, at Jain Wambui, at Victor Oloo, and at Regina Manyara. That is at Ray Manyara. Well, that's what we have on the front page. Maybe we can get to the details. Victor.
Absolutely. All right. So in politics here, why Uhuru wants Raila to climb the mountain alone? It said that the region, which is projected to have an excess of 6 million votes next year, will for the first time not present a joint presidential candidate, setting it up for grabs as Uhuru retires. However, there are fears that campaigns led by the incumbent would be counterproductive by packaging Raila a government project, and that will be a massive campaign tool by the opponents. There is also need to streamline and manage Raila's messaging to ensure it appeals to the region. Again, the president's men believe Raila is the only person who can best weave and package his Mount Kenya messages before they jump in to reinforce them. So there is that fear that the president might not jump directly to campaign for Raila Odinga, but that is something that some of the politicians here allied to ODM leader Raila Odinga and President Kenyatta say at the right time, the president will jump in. As I always say, it's just a matter of wait and see. Now, Mochache and Kagwe admit COVID-19 ravaging villages, vaccines stolen. Health Principal Secretary says that deaths are going unreported as the lethal Delta becomes dominant in Kenya. So the government has admitted that villages have many unreported COVID-19 deaths. This was announced at a time when the government was confessing that vaccines are being stolen. Jain and Regina, I would like us to take a break at that particular point. And even you, as a viewer, just think about that. Vaccines are being stolen. We'll be right back after this break.
The excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there, as the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games, gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
All right, and welcome back. If you're still watching Good Morning Kenya, this is In the Headlines. Now, before you took a break, I was giving this story where the government has now admitted that COVID-19 ravaging villages and vaccines being stolen. Let me just quote what the PS said. Now, the PS Mochachi yesterday told a parliamentary committee that the government was unable to track all village deaths given the lack of pathologists in the rural counties. She said the daily figures being released by the government only capture deaths in hospitals. Regina, let's start by what the government says that the vaccines are being stolen. Did you have to get this point, or it was just a matter of time?
I think it was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of time, and we have seen this happen with even relief food. Remember, there was a time we were doing the distribution of relief food and trucks and sacks of relief food. Up and
the maize
disappeared.
flour, the wheat flour, all those.
After a few weeks, months, they were being resold.
Repackaged. And actually, some of them were in the shelves with the government of Kenya label, remember?
That is it. That's what
Not
I'm
for
talking
sale.
about.
Not for sale, yes.
Yes.
Audacity too.
Yes. So for me, it was just a matter of time. Remember, there was a story where a certain Kenyan was arrested abroad for hawking, apparently, is it COVID?
Yes, holy oil.
Yeah.
Holy oil.
In the UK, actually.
Wait for it. In the next few weeks, now that we have had an influx of these vaccines, you will be walking around in several places of the central business district. Madam, dawa ya COVID. Madam. That is going to happen. That is going to happen. I don't know if it's our culture. I don't know if it's poverty, but this for me was a disaster in waiting. And even to show you that this is where we were heading all along, there was a report that was made that Kenyans were making money from the queues at the vaccination points, where some arrive as early as 5 a.m. They are on the queue.
You wait for
someone. Who is coming in at 9 a.m., they ask you, nikupe nafasi. Uko na haraka. And you part with 1,000 or 500 shillings, depending on where they are in the queue. So this get quick or get it easy mentality that Kenyans have is what is bringing us down every now and then. And what these people who are stealing this vaccine are not seeing is that people are dying. People are suffering.
People suffering.
And we know, you don't have to know someone who knows someone who knows someone who has had COVID or succumbed to the virus to know that it is real. The statistics.
Let me just weigh in here. Jain.
Yeah.
The CS said that facilities are charging Kenyans at either 50 shillings or 100 shillings to get the jab. What else? The CS said that nobody knows this, and I quote, nobody knows what vaccines they are using. Nobody knows whether they are actual vaccines or whatever it could be, or anything else that they are vaccinating with.
It could be water.
Let me give you a case in point. A colleague and a friend that I know went to take the jab. And when they came, they were like, maze, hata after hiyo kudungwa sindano sisiki chochote. So I asked them, umedungwa nini? AstraZeneca, Moderna, what? Ambia hata sijui. I'm like, hold up.
These are damning reports.
So you've taken an injection, vaccination. You don't know what you've been given. And then?
But guess how many people are doing that?
People
how many
are not
other
asking
there
the
that are doing that?
questions. You need to ask, okay, fine, I'm on the queue, I'm here to receive the vaccine. Madam or gentleman, you with the gloves ready to inject me, what are you injecting me?
And this is why...
From the vial you're picking the vaccine from, have a look at it. No one tells you not to check.
And this is why
due diligence onto ourselves.
It boils down to us as individuals to also do our due diligence and understand which are the centers that have been delegated and tasked and given the responsibility to vaccinate. Because it is not every every other health facility that can just give you this particular vaccine.
Yeah.
But now, as per what the CS said, there were companies that wanted to import the private companies that wanted to import the vaccine and start vaccinating on their own. But now he said that those companies that wish to import the COVID-19 vaccines, they are free to do so, but they must channel all their purchases through the Ministry of Health, and that is through their representative, that is KEPSA. And this way, they will deposit their funds through the national the treasury to the accounts of the health ministry, who then will take up those funds, procure the vaccines, and they can be able to get them again through KEPSA. No one will be allowed to import those vaccines individually or as a single entity, especially so in the private sector. But he also went on to say that when it comes to the vaccination bit, it will be free of charge.
Yeah, but here
no one is going to be charged. Yes,
50, 100 shillings.
And those are those two discrepancies that come into play when you do not really understand or know if the facility that you're going to has actually been allowed to give these vaccines. Because I do believe we get messages, this and this hospital, this and this facilities are giving vaccines.
Yeah. But I think it's quite imperative for us here as a media to state and let us tell the public that the government does not charge anyone for a vaccine. That is something that the government has said over and over and over again. The vaccine was procured by the government for you. So no medical facility should charge you 50 shillings or 100 shillings for you to take that jab. And that is why it's a drive by the government for each and every person to go out there and take that jab. So I think it's just important to say, and for us with authority here, to tell you that the government does not charge. So
but you see, that's now where people get smarter. Utasikia hiyo 50 ni sijui ni syringe na the needle, hiyo 50 sijui ni gloves, hiyo 100 sijui ni nini. Unapata those two added costs, ndio unaambiwa sasa unalipia hiyo.
But Regina, have you ever heard of a situation of that kind where people are being charged of, there's that medical card, but then people can get crafty. You have to get a card. Everything is done online. So you don't need a card.
Okay. Let's say this, and I'm going to say it without fear of favor. We are too capitalistic. We are out to gain at people's pain.
Yeah.
At whatever cost.
So, government is rolling out a vaccination exercise free of charge.
Yeah.
You have been nominated as a facility to offer this vaccine. And you use gloves. Yes, and I'm sure when these PPEs are being delivered, they're also free. So why would you be charging a Regina who's come in for a job 50 shillings and purport it's for the needle,
the gloves,
such and such? So such facilities that are charging that, the question is then, did you have this conversation with government and say, and government needs also to be open and say, by the way, we have subsidized this because of other than the vaccine is free, but the gloves, the needles, the whatnot are not free. That's why you're going to be receiving this job at a cost of 50 shillings. And them going for the lower denomination, that is 50 and 100, is to make you feel as if you're not paying for it.
Yeah.
But if we're doing the numbers, of the people that have so far been vaccinated, let's take for an instance a center that is going to vaccinate 100,000 people. Do your quick math.
Times 50.
Or even times 100.
Yeah.
It is still monies that these facilities are collecting. So when we are saying, or whether when government comes out and say that the vaccination exercise is free, have they taken? Yes, they have taken. They have taken care of the vaccine itself. Have they taken care of the syringe that is going to use to vaccinate me? Right? Have they taken care of the gloves that are going to be used, the PPEs, that this person is going to be donning to give me this service. Basically, have they taken care of the front office and the back office in as far as the vaccination exercise is concerned? Because what this means, the Ministry of Health maintains that this is a free exercise. But when they get on ground, the situation on ground is totally different. So Wanjiku is there between taking that jab, yes, and the facility that says you can only take this jab, yes, but 50 shillings or 100 bob.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do this. Perhaps we tell our viewers from wherever you are on our social media, what is your experience out there? Have you been charged 50 shillings, 100 shillings, and just mention which hospital was that? All right? Wherever you are from, just get to our social media or tag us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1, at Victor Oloo, at Jain Wambui, at Regina. Talk to us. Tell us wherever you're watching from. Go to our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and tell us where this has been happening. And, you know, our work is just to tell you as it is. You're not supposed to be charged for the vaccine. All right? Absolutely. All right. Moving on.
Yes. Let me bring you to the Daily Nation. Jimmy Wanjigi. Now, Wanjigi says SGR cost was inflated 10 times over.
Yeah.
Okay? So Kenyans were never supposed to pay the surplus of 500 billion for the construction of the SGR. He says the price was inflated 10 times over. Now, in his own claims, which is yet to be proven true or false, he claims that he birthed the SGR idea back in 2008. And he says the construction line from Mombasa to Malaba originally was meant to cost 55 billion and was to be funded privately. And the whole idea behind the SGR was meant to be for like a real estate project, how you would take up a real estate project. It wasn't meant to involve the government. The only part that the government would be involved was the land on which the track was passing. So he says that the project was exaggerated 10 times over, and this was what the feasibility studies showed after the Jubilee administration took over. In his words, quoted here, SGR was a project birthed by me in 2008 with some company, with the same company rather, called China Road and Bridge. We birthed it. We spent a lot of money doing feasibility and technical studies. The intention when we began was that the rail was to be a private rail, nothing to do with government. The only part that the government was supposed to be involved in was to provide the land, which we were prepared to lease. It was like a real estate project. End of quote. He says, now looking at the figure, as per under the Jubilee administration, the railway costed 327 billion. That is from Mombasa to Nairobi. Another 150 billion went to the distance between Nairobi and Naivasha, while Naivasha to Kisumu, it was projected to cost another $380 billion, a billion Kenya shillings rather, but it didn't come to fruition due to the lack of funding, and they resorted to upgrade the meter gauge railway line.
Yeah.
But the cost of the SGR is not news. Is not news. We have had this conversation over and over and over again.
And just last week, there was also another story here on the Daily Nation concerning two petitioners who had written to the High Court demanding that the AG, who is also involved in one way or the other, the contract to put up the SGR, to disclose the details of the contract and the finances that were involved. There's a 450 billion that was being questioned. And as per that petition, the AG said that it was this petition that is being fronted by these two guys is not grounded in any true facts or anything. And should he get his way, we will never get to know the details, as Kenyans that is, we will never get to know the details of this particular contract that involved the SGR.
Yeah. It has been a very big elephant in the room
Billions,
ever since. Yeah,
man.
Billions.
Nabadu.
Nabadu. And see now, after the construction, the Chinese government will also have to be cashing in their money
Of course.
to the government as well. So it's some of this information we might not be privy to, but the government and all the stakeholders are very much alive to the fact. Regina, from the business desk, you've been covering this story for quite a long time, and we can never exhaust this story of SGR. What do you think about it, Regina?
You see, for me, right now, what I'm thinking, whenever a politician speaks to that matter, I'm just thinking this is clout chasing,
Agenda.
trying to remain relevant because we are in the campaign season already, from the look of things in the political arena. Then it takes me back to before the Madaraka Express actually was operationalized.
Yeah.
There was a conversation as to why was the SGR, the one that runs through Kenya, more expensive than what Ethiopia is doing, you know, the electric and such. And there was that comparison, and business scribes across the country did the math, compared, and we even asked government, why is it X, Y, Z? And remember, this was also funded by the African Development Bank.
Yeah.
So when the negotiations, and there was a very controversial piece that was aired and put on print in one of the media houses that we have in the country, and it sparked a lot of controversy, even where the reporter was put in question as a source of his to reveal his sources, because it went further to say what Kenya stood to lose if it defaulted on the loan that was taken and granted for the construction of this particular railway line. So the conversation around the SGR is murky at best. From its returns, and if at all there was a transfer of skill from the Chinese who had the contract to our local contractors, and if there was any other need for such another mega project that we would not need to get expatriates to come do it for us, because we have tried it with the SGR, we have the requisite skills to go forth to do something similar or better going forward. There's been those questions. Was it value for money? What do we stand to lose if we fail to pay up on the loan? Skills transfer. How have the people who worked on this particular rail, how were they treated? There were all these issues. So for me, this is just a statement from an aspirant who, you know, they have to say
those are very
this.
big claims for him to make.
Yes, until they are
Proven
founded,
true or false.
Yes,
Yeah.
they remain
Claims.
aspects of speculation, utterances that were made in a political gathering or such. But I'm sure but the relevant authorities charged with this can look into the claims. So who are we? We were just saying this is what person XYZ said about matter XYZ. But where it comes to concerns the SGR, there's a lot that has been said over the years.
And not said.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, as we draw closer and closer to the end of this particular segment, I'm sure you guys have caught wind of Hurricane Ida.
Yes.
And this reminds me of this whole narrative why some devastating natural phenomenon are named after women. But we'll not get deeper into that. But looking at Hurricane Ida, which has been categorized as a level 4 hurricane, let me just get that. Yes, category 4 storm this past Sunday that comes 16 years after Hurricane Katrina has devastated New Orleans. This is onto some international news. It has battered the southern U.S. state of Louisiana, leaving at least one person dead. They're yet to get full stock of the consequences or the damage that has been done. It has knocked out power for more than 1 million people, including the whole of New Orleans. It is said to have slammed the Louisiana coast at under category 4 storms this past Sunday, and it weakened the whole tropical storm. It weakened rather come Monday, after knocking out power for the larger part of New Orleans. However, and this is according to the Power Outage US, they have backup power in New Orleans, a sewage and water board, and this is to just operate the pumps that are used to control flooding, to just ensure that the damage is not getting worse, because as it stands, the waters are rapidly rising and they have topped 7.5 feet high. So that is the current situation of what is happening there in Louisiana as well as New Orleans. And there was some videos that were also circulating where we did see this particular hurricane just rip off the entire roof of a clinic facility. Ni kama inadhandura mbembe. Ilibeba, just to understand how heavy and how devastating this particular hurricane was. And this is why we just start appreciating our weather here. We do not have such extremes as they do in the West. So, hata tukicomplain kajoto kamezidi ama kabaridi kamezidi, let us just understand that we don't get to experience these hurricanes as often as our brothers and sisters in the West get to experience them. Victor.
Okay. So, let me drop the star and pick the People Daily quickly. Let me take you through the pages here. Matiang'i to meet MPs on Ruto guards. That's on the front page of the People Daily. Matiang'i to meet MPs on Ruto guards. Interior CS will be accompanied by Kibisho and Mutiambai to shed light on the recent changes in DP's security detail. That is on the front page of the People Daily. Why Raila faces 2022 steep climb. ODM leader is running out of time to reinvent himself after the central region, on which he had banked on his candidacy, is proving a hard nut. He needs new friends and a fresh message. That is on the front page of the People Daily. Still on that story of coronavirus, why coronavirus deaths are higher than reported. Remember, we told the government admitted that the deaths are high in the villages due to lack of pathologies to ascertain the real cause of deaths there, and vaccines are being stolen. All right. Kagwe lashes out at politicians for using vaccine for own gain. Again, we expected that. We've seen situations where politicians brand, even the government, donated items. So donated by Victor, by Jain, for political gains. It's quite synonymous with Kenya. So we can say that there's nothing new there. All right. So why Raila faces steep climb to win 2022 poll. There's a very interesting read there. You can take a look at that particular story on the People Daily. Again, Uhuru nominates CS Juma for top Commonwealth job. President expresses optimism in defense minister's ability as a distinguished diplomat. President Uhuru Kenyatta has nominated Defense Cabinet Secretary Dr. Monica Juma for the post of Secretary General of the Commonwealth. To demonstrate his confidence in Monica, the head of state noted how she served well as Principal Secretary in the Foreign Affairs docket and also across the Security Department. That is what is there again for Monica Juma, the CS. The CS. And here, the story of Jimmy Wanjigi, still again captured on the People Daily. He said, "I am an honest political broker," says Jimmy Wanjigi. Businessman denies role in Anglo leasing but admits he was the force behind Thika Highway and SGR projects. It's an amazing read there. Perhaps for the first time, people had an in-depth one-on-one interview with Jimmy Wanjigi. All right. So MPs to grill security chiefs over Ruto sentry changes. National Assembly team says bosses will explain whether law was followed ahead of replacement. The committee also asks Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibisho and Inspector General of Police Hilary Mutiambai to accompany Matiang'i to the committee meeting. That is as far as the security of the Deputy President is concerned. And it has raised a lot of concern either way. And now the three have been summoned by the National Assembly to shed more light on that particular story. Jain and
I think
Regina.
That is that in regards to what we have here in the paper. We have pretty much covered all the stories that have been given prominence here on the particular dailies.
Okay.
I don't know, Ray, if you have anything more to add.
Actually, it's not on the paper, but it has been trending on social media. And I have a quick question.
Yes.
Ta-da.
The issue of cyberbullying.
Oh.
At what point do you feel entitled to make judgment about someone else's personal life? And I want to say it categorically today. I wish people were a little bit honest with people they do not know, people they have not interacted with, and understand that they live their lives. And if you want to make a judgment of that person, or if you have something to say to that person, have the courage to tell it to them on their face. Don't go behind their back, sending their friends, relatives, people they know, messages, screenshots, conversations. That's just low. If you have something to say to someone, say it to them directly. This shadow boxing is nauseating. It's just disgusting if you ask me, because then you have told a third party about person X. Have you helped person X? Actually, you've now brought in person Y into a conversation that was for person X. See what you're doing? You're spreading gossip. You're spreading maliciousness. We just need to just be honest. And I read a quote somewhere, and I'd want to end in the headlines with that, without sounding as if I'm preachy. That people believe, like, you know, because it's social media and they see Regina, Jane, and Victor, they can sit at the table, that they have a say in regard to what happens in Victor's life, or in Jane's life, or Regina's life. It doesn't mean because you see people on social media, you have a right to judge them through your own worldviews. Man, the things that those people who spread malicious slander have done that are far worse. But because they have that edge and the obscurity that online and internet gives them, they can do that to people. We have seen that.
Yeah.
And there's the issue of intellectual property rights. My picture today, or rather my photo today, I know as far as I'm concerned, it is me. That is a picture of me or a photo of me. How you use it as another user is another thing altogether. Right? People need to understand that sometimes we take it a little bit too far. We take it a little bit too far, and we end up hurting people who were never part of that conversation, making assumptions, making malicious slander, talking ill about people you have never met, probably you will never meet in your lifetime, but you feel you have to say something, and not positive, but negative to someone who loves them or is with them or part of their family.
In other words,
so what have you helped?
In other words, people should mind their own business.
They need to mind their own business. Mind your business. Your business should be your business. Why would I be worried about Victor and Jane and Doreen and everyone else? I have my own life to live. But hey, then I remember a tree that bears fruit is what is usually hit and shaken. But a barren tree will thrive because there's no one attacking it. So if someone is attacking you right now today, in this day and time, just know that you have something
to offer.
They want or crave for. And the only way they can cast a shadow onto you is throwing shade. So just brace. It's a roller coaster. Brace.
All right.
Drops mic.
Drops mic. Boom. Regina.
Yeah.
All right.
Just heard it.
So, Magda Prince,
Nasemaji.
watching live from Mazera's Rabai Mwele, watu Mombasa. Evelyn Kavaya, morning on board. Amy Brown, morning too, watching from Embakasi. Fred Manyenyi, saying that he's watching from Masaba area. Masaba should be in Kisii region. Paul K. Yegon, ayeboyo. Good morning, following live at Machakos. Osoro David, Nyamira Sironga, And then there is a gentleman called Kevin Muhovi, Masienza Iholomani.
Yeah.
Locked. Kipchirchir Marogo Mentor. This one is advertising something on social media. Do you want blah, 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 blah. Kipchirchir, wacha bana. Robert Koros tuned in from Upper Hill, that is in Nairobi. Alafu, there's somebody who just responded to, that is called Gaddafi Devi Hill. Says that, good morning, Mimi sijawai kuvisit Hosi, but I'm all right. Kitengela watching. Oh yeah.
Story of vaccine.
I would visit Hosi, why? Is it for the vaccine or just any other normal checkup? Devi?
Specifics.
If it's for the vaccine, go to the hospital and get vaccinated. That one will advocate for you. Okay. And then, yeah, as far as that is concerned, people from Homa Bay County. Yeah, Anguma Temore?
County. Hiya basi.
Okay. So that is that. Jen, somebody is saying that Arsenal is number 20. Please, I'm just...
Mimi musinengeze Ray. Over to you. Wacha niangalie hii side muki agi. Muniambie mukimaliza.
But then if you look at where we are at number 20. Like, chini kabisa. We are starting the league from...
Bottom up.
We've played 3 games. 1-0.